Welcome in everyone to another Ravens Flash Report. This is Jordan, and we're going to be going over the Ravens win against the Tennessee Titans in Week 6 in London, where the Ravens barely scraped by, and as cliche as it is to say, an ugly win is indeed better than a pretty loss, but the Ravens get the job done, winning 24-16 against the Titans in London. There's a lot of stuff going on with this team. There's a lot of inconsistencies, some good things, some bad things, but let's get to it.
They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that. I'm a Raven. It's on. All year. Every year.
All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, same as we have in past videos. So the good, the pass rush. It showed up a lot later in the game, but even early in the game, there seemed to be a good amount of pressure. Tannehill went down because of the pass rush. So it seems like a lot of his passes got batted at the line, or it seems like they got tipped off in the air. A lot of times it seemed like penalties were saving Titans drives in some of these parts of the game. So the other part of the good is the special teams. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but yeah, those are the two really good portions of the team. The bad, running the ball, it just seemed very inefficient. It seemed like there was questionable play calls, some things where they would take Hill out and then they would put Gus in or vice versa. We never saw Mitchell. It just seemed like it was a very disjointed running effort. And then the red zone offense. I know this is something that it was obvious to anybody that watched the game, but weeks 1 through 4, the Ravens are one of the best in the league. I think the best up to week 4 at red zone offense, getting touchdowns when they're down there. And since then, it's just been deplorable, to say the least. And then the ugly, refs and the penalties. We'll get into that a little bit later, but really, it was just, I don't know what the Ravens did or John Harbaugh did to piss off all of the refs, but whatever it is, they don't like us anymore. So, and the penalties, they kind of go hand in hand with the foot shooting, because the Ravens still continue to not make things easy. I don't know what it is that they have against their fans, but we can't just have a game where we go out there and we beat the teams we're supposed to beat. Anyway, that being said, let's get into some of these stats. So for the receivers, good receiving day overall. I think it said that Lamar passed to 8 different receivers, which is a season high for him, which is good. It's always better when we spread the ball out. It makes the defense play us more honest. They can't just crowd the box. But here, I got the numbers in front, and Beckham only had 2 for 34 yards, but one of those was for a 32-yarder, and he looked good. Aguilar was 2 for 3 on 40, and man, that one, I think it was the first one he got. The guy barely got the edge of his foot, and if he hadn't tripped him up, he was gone. That was a house call, for sure. That was a long touchdown, and that would have been great for Aguilar. I really wish he would have gotten that. Flowers, for some reason, at the end of the game, when I looked at his stats and I saw 50 yards, 6 of 8, I was like, there's no way. It seemed like he got the ball like 10 times, and it seemed like he had, I was like, thinking he was flirting with like 80, 90 yards, but I guess when you see him so often, you just think that he's producing more than he is. And then Andrews, as always, consistent. He had a couple of huge plays in the game, just as always there for Lamar. And it's good to see that Flowers and Andrews both seem to be kind of following with that Lamar backyard ball type of play. Let's get into these rushing numbers, though. 139 yards over the day, which is, it's not bad, but it was just like, again, 13 for 62, 16 for 41, 8 for 35. Nobody was really very efficient. Nobody was really taking advantage of this team. And again, they are, the Titans anyway, are considered one of the best rushing defenses, if not the best in the league. So I guess it is something to take into consideration. But if you're the coaches and you know that, then trying to bash your head against a wall to make it work, this is what I'm saying. Like, take what the defense is giving you. If Lamar's passing the ball to 8 receivers and they're catching the ball, I didn't really see any serious drops. And other than the Bateman and Lamar miscommunication or lack of effort or bad ball placement, whatever you want to call it, other than that, our receiving core was on point today. Lamar started off, I think at one point they said he was like 11 for 12 or 11 for 13 for like 120 yards or something like that. So, he was definitely hitting, and then it got to the third quarter and everything just kind of fell apart. But let's get into the special teams, because the special teams, I have been kind of not dogging on them for the whole season so far, but it just seemed like they weren't really showing up the ways that they had previously, because I don't know if you guys know this, but John Harbaugh used to be a special teams coach. They don't talk about it very much on TV, but in case you didn't know, there's your little tidbit of information. So anyway, Duvernay, the 70-yard punt return, people are giving him a hard time because he got chased down by the punter. That punter was running, they showed it, like he was running almost 20 miles an hour to catch him. Like, give the punter some credit. He is still an athlete. He's still a football player playing in a professional football league. That being said, Duvernay looked tired. It looked like he wasn't going to make it to the end zone anyway. But good to see. That was huge. We ended up only getting a field goal out of it, but just, getting that burst and seeing that from Duvernay was excellent, because, went from all pro to just kind of fair catching everything. On the other side of the punts, our punt coverage unit, they got in nice and close. I don't know if they just made him confused or skittish or something like that, but I mean, you want to talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. Unfortunately, this one also did, I think, lead to a field goal, but if you look to your right, Tucker, 41, 28, 23, 29, 20, 36. Now, we were talking about the red zone issues, the red zone woes, as they were saying, and it's true. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Tucker kick a 20-yard field goal. You're on the 1-yard line, and you just can't get it in. It's just, I don't know. It's tough. Which is why I question why John went for 2. If people in the comments can let me know, I know I get it as far as like the point breakdown, but like, dude, the drive before, they were on the 3-yard line, the 1-yard line, and then they still couldn't rush the ball in. So like, what was your plan? You're on the 2-yard line, you haven't been able to get it in. I don't know. Anyway, we got the win, so I got to keep reminding myself of that. So let's get into the secondary, because Geno Stone is awesome. It's weird. It's such a luxury to have him back there, especially with Marcus Williams potentially going down for some time with the hamstring issue. Luckily, Kyle Hamilton's exit was only because of a baloney ejection call. Not to say it wasn't a penalty. He definitely, was helmet to helmet. Chris Moore was, I hope he's doing okay. That looked like a pretty rough hit. But yeah. So Williams and Humphrey, I mean, again, obviously Williams, but Humphrey, it doesn't look 100%. Doesn't really look like he's back there yet. It doesn't seem like he has his conditioning back, which makes sense. He had foot surgery, but again, I don't necessarily want him out there if he's going to be a liability. Darby and Millette, they look pretty solid, along with, of course, Brandon Stevens. I am super big on Brandon Stevens right now, which probably means next week he's going to get used and abused, but to my knowledge, he hasn't given up a touchdown yet this season. And I think he's like number 1 in coverage that hasn't allowed one, so that's pretty excellent for him. Let's get into these linebackers and pass rush, because Roquan Smith and Queen, it's been said before, I know, but they are the best linebacking duo in the NFL. They just are. And Clowney, Matabike, and Van Noy were just causing issues the whole time. And Pierce as well. He got called for that roughing the passer one, which again is like, you got to question what they're supposed to do. He's running full tilt at the guy. What is he supposed to do? Like, he's supposed to like Matrix Neo his way off of the guy? It doesn't make sense. It's kind of hard to play a defensive player in this league right now, but the pass rush and the linebackers were the heart and soul of this defense today. The secondary did well. If you look at the pass yards, it was abysmal for the Titans. I don't have it up in front of me, but I mean, if it wasn't for that Tajay Spears little pitch run for 48 yards, they would have been under 100 yards passing. And all that credit goes to, obviously, the defense, but I mean, it was a very well-worked game, because the pass rush shortened his amount of time, which means the receivers weren't necessarily open yet, and so the secondary made plays on the ball. Geno Stone, again, getting the pick. You got Marcus Williams before he went out with the injury. Had that beautiful. He had that stupid penalty against him, where on Hopkins, where he's trying to get to the ball. You can see his helmet is facing the ball. He's not even facing Hopkins, and he's just trying to get to the ball to play the ball. And they call him for a stupid penalty. And then the next one, it was almost like, he's like, oh yeah, refs, so you're going to call me for going through the player? Fine, I'll touch only the ball. And he just like slaps the ball out of the way before it even gets there. It was such an excellent play, such an athletic play. So hopefully he does actually get fully healthy. We'll need him later in the season. But real quick, let's go through my other notes here and finish this up. So Harbaugh took the points, finally, right? Fans have been screaming all week, 2 weeks, whatever, just John, kick the dang field goals, right? Tucker's over there like a puppy waiting to get picked up from daycare. And then Hamilton's ejection, I mean, it was an overreaction. It was. They went to New York, and it seemed like New York was like, oh, this was, the guy's hurt, and he's targeting him. And again, just like the Pierce thing, it's like, how are you supposed to stop? They spoke with Hamilton after the game in the locker room. He's like, there wasn't anything malicious. I hope the guy's okay. It was a bang bang play. I went to go break up the ball, and his head was there. Like, it's a physical sport. It's a violent sport, and like I said, everybody hopes that Chris Moore is okay, but to eject him over that was unnecessary. Receivers, they showed back up, and again, refs. I don't know what it is with the Ravens. Ravens are willing to shoot themselves in the foot, and the refs are handing them the gun. I don't know, but I know next week is going to be tough. Next week is going to be really tough. It's going to be probably, I would say, the Bengals and then the Browns were kind of considered, in my opinion. I know they lost to the Steelers and the Colts, but those were games that the Ravens should have won. More so, I think, the overall idea was than the Bengals and the Browns games. Those were supposed to be tougher games. So hopefully this holds true, and Detroit is not as difficult as they seem, but they seem like one of the most complete teams that the Ravens will be going up against in the early part of the season. Now, later in the season, let's take our time to get to that, because the Chargers, the Jags, the Dolphins, the 49ers, it's going to be a difficult end of the season. So this offense has to become more consistent. It has to be better. It just does. And if we keep falling apart in the second half, if we keep giving our fans heart attacks like they have been, then, this team is, if it is playoff bound, it's wild card, and I don't think you win in the postseason playing like this with your offense disappearing. So, all right. I mean, I know it might sound down. It was a good win. There were some really exciting moments. Lamar played hero ball for the last couple of drives. I mean, some of the runs that he played, his elusiveness is just, it's still mind-boggling. I saw a post on Reddit a couple days ago that was like, oh, has he slowed down or whatever? And I was like, I mean, I don't know if I would say he's slowed down. It seems like he is a more cautious runner. He's more aware. But his ability to get through guys in traffic is still just unmatched, in my opinion. But anyway, if you guys have thoughts about the game, if you think there's things that I missed, if you think there's maybe points that I brought up that you don't agree with, then please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. But good win. It was a good win. We're 4-2. Let's be happy about it. And let's start getting our focus ready for Detroit in Baltimore next Sunday. But that's it for me, guys. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye.